Hello, and welcome back to our kitchen. We have a special episode today where we're going to cook something a bit it's like a type of niche recipe from the north of Italy. And to do it, we have our guest today is Aymeric Castaing from CEO and founder of Umanimation.
Umanimation.
Yes. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Aymeric, you have so many stories to tell. I look forward to this episode. It's very exciting. Before we dive into that, I'm going to give a little bit of an explanation of the recipe. So you see a lot of ingredients. I know you cook, so you like to cook. Okay. So it's a recipe from the north of Italy called Pizzoccheri, which is basically buckwheat pasta made with cabbage, potatoes, and cheese. It's not a very complex recipe, but there's lots of passages, so we have to be very careful. Thanks for joining us. You've got a very interesting story that leads you to the first game you've done. So I'd like to start from that. You know, what's your story and how you got to where you are now?
Of course, with great pleasure. First, I like to say that I'm really happy to be here because I indeed love cooking, and I started cooking when I began to be a student, like I was 18, and I haven't stopped since. So I cook every day for my family and for my
That's
friends.
Perfect. And you said to me that ultimately, you know, what your name, the name of your company, and it's about cooking, right? It's about cooking
completely.
stuff.
Yeah, we wanted to have something that would sum up our vision, which is the vision is transmedia, is to create big stories and to use chapter of these stories on the platform that fits the most. So for instance, a big story, one chapter will be a video game, but another chapter will be a TV series, and another one will be a comic book.
Okay, cool.
So we wanted a name that would symbolize that, and the idea is the idea of the umami that you have in Japanese culture, the fifth taste, the mix of salty, bitter, acid, and sugar gives the fifth taste, the umami. And so the name was to mix umami and animation, so to make Umanimation. And when we merged the company with my partner Cedric, it's really fun because he had created a company named Un Je ne sais quoi, which is like a little something, you know, when you have that listen something you want to taste again. And so it's exactly the French version of umami. So it's very fun. So
it's working very well for what you're doing. Let's start with the potatoes in the meantime. And you said, you know, you started from animation. So you're not a video game person. You started from another media.
Yes, I actually started with music. I started as a sound engineer in a recording studio. Then I created my company producing bands, and then I did music publishing, which is like becoming the agent of the song and of the titles, and you give them a life.
More the business part.
Yes, every time, and of producing, you know, which is a bit like cooking, you know, sometimes you produce, but you're not the creator, you're not the musician, but you organize the ingredients.
Yeah.
You know, you can cook, you're not the farmer, but you're using ingredients, and sometimes it can work like that. And then I met friends and I did animation with them during like 10 years. And the biggest project we made, it was a TV series with the basketball player Tony Parker.
Okay.
And while doing this, I was like, it's weird. We made so many stuff, so many backgrounds, so many characters, so many things, and we cannot use any of them to make a video game. So if you want to make a video game, we have to redo everything. So I started working, it was like 2010, 2012, something like that. And to work on, is it possible to mix animation and video games, to use, first it was doing animation with video games techniques. And I found some stuff, so I started developing on augmented reality and stuff. And I created Umanimation in 2017. With the ultimate goal to use only a video game engine to make animation and to make, of course, video games.
Okay.
So that's everything that we're doing has to go through the video game engine. For video games, of course, it's obvious, but for animation, a bit less. So that allow us to have the same render, the same image, the same quality image, whether we're doing animation or whether we're doing video games.
Okay.
Because we're using the same assets, the same characters, and same backgrounds.
One thing I find interesting about our industry is, we create so much technology, and sometimes you almost have to throw everything away, right? Because when you do the next game, you're almost like but you're doing something very clever, where you're reusing a lot of stuff. You're actually saving resources to improve what you're doing next, right?
Yeah. Thank you. That's the idea. That's the idea because since I was among my friends, I was the first to who wanted to cook. Others would be, when you're 20, you can buy a pizza and everything's fine, But I was, no, I'm going to cook. I'm going to make some stuff, and sometimes I arrive at friends and I was like, okay, there's nothing in the fridge. But every time I manage to find something to cook, and so that's also the spirit here, where we are using what we already have.
Yeah.
Of course, for Dordogne, we had to make so many. My partner Cedric painted 185 original paintings on paper that they were then scanned and everything. But it was also the textures of all the elements and a lot of stuff. And for that stuff, of course, for our next game that we are preparing now, there's going to be a lot of creation. But we are going also using what we did at a bank, to a bank of content, to reuse it again for the project.
That makes a lot of sense. And I think you were saying because you come from a different industry altogether, you had to sort of explain in a way, what was your creative process, to Focus, which is the publisher of the game, right? So because you were coming from a different perspective, so story comes first.
Of course, and it was at first it was of course a great experience working with Focus, but we had to speak the same language. For instance, the funniest thing is that in animation, when you say when you talk about the development is the conception of the project.
Okay.
When you are writing the first stories, doing the first drawings and everything, and so we started talking like, okay, so we're going to start to develop the game and creating. It was like, no, you cannot start by developing the game. You have to create a concept and then you're doing the development, because the development is obviously in video games the part when you code everything.
Yeah.
And so it was fun. But and one other funniest thing is like we started doing Dordogne. We like, maybe we would need to publish this. We started doing Dordogne by doing a storyboard.
Okay.
I mean, everything has been drawn. Like the whole story has been drawn in cases like a storyboard, like a small comic book, to explain everything and to explain how the game and how the story was about to happen. And so they were like, okay, but what do we play? And then we started creating the puzzles. But Dordogne remains an interactive story somehow. Our next game will be way different, way more focused on gameplay, because it was Dordogne. We needed to make Dordogne from animation. We needed to have that interactive story before doing something more. Not for the gamers. I wouldn't say that the gamers will be. Our goal is to talk to family and
What I find interesting is that we always say that, and this is something I keep saying, that our industry is the big joining point between technology and art. It's the only industry like that, right? Where technology is can take you places, incredible places, but without the art component, it doesn't work. And you're started from art, but almost like realized later that you needed a lot more technology than you thought of, right?
Yeah, completely. Completely. We since 2019 we have Alex, our wonderful CTO, and he works also to preserve the art that's been created. And sometimes it's hard work, because sometimes it's simpler to do one way, and we to keep the real touch of design, it's going to, you will be obliged to develop something way more complicated. But just to keep that, for instance, since Cedric is coming from cinema and animation feature film, he's using some tools in post-production that doesn't exist anymore, because we are in real time. So there's the post. So we created our own tools to make the equivalent of post-production. I mean, like, you have to, the background is getting blurry, or you are creating on the edge, it's getting darker on the edges of the image.
So you're using movie techniques in the game.
Completely.
Okay, that's
completely,
super
like
interesting.
it's the eye of the director that you have in cinema, and keeping that stuff and working closely through keeping that eye of the director, but with developing with the creative, the art, and of course the gameplay and our gameplay designer.
Cool, that's very cool. Just to sum it up, we've done the potatoes. We're now using the Pizzoccheri just in a second, when the potatoes are going to be slightly into the cooking.
Explain, what is it?
This is a type of pasta that's made of buckwheat, which is a type of wheat. The black
sarrasin,
the black
in French.
sarrasin in French, and it's only made. I think it's the same in France, right? Up in the mountains, used in the in the areas where, in the rural areas where this stuff grows better than usual wheat. So the pasta, the potatoes, and the cabbage will cook together. And then we'll show how it works, but basically we'll prepare, because everything goes in the oven later. So it's
of course
that's how you are working. So I'll ask you to grate some of this. Dordogne was your first game, but you've been in animation a lot before.
Yeah.
What did you see as a big transition between making animated movies or animated features and video games? What do you think is the big difference there? Because when we talk about entertainment and what makes a good recipe for entertainment, what we're trying to achieve is, I think there's some common elements and some big differences. So what do you think are the, things there?
On one side, it's absolutely not the same thing.
Yeah.
And on the other side, there's so many things in common. So regarding it's absolutely not the same thing. It's when you're doing a game, you're playing. It's important to have to give and it's obvious to put the game in control. You have more than an audience. You have a player, and the player has to play something. He has to do something, even if it's something narrative. He has to feel that he controls it. That's the point, because compared to animation, you're passive. You are active when you're playing a game, and you are passive when you are watching a movie or animation. And then regarding the common points, it's how it's made. It's I wouldn't say it's basically the same thing until development, but there's a lot of things in common. Okay. The way you create, the way you think you create the art, and the way you put the art into 3D, and the way you put your 3D into your game engine. And then in your game engine, you can take the road to the animation, or take the road to the video game. Yeah. Depending what you've been working on before, whether it's you have a game design or you have a graphic bible for an animation, but you can have both. This is what we do.
Yeah. Okay.
We do concept. Our next project will be a game and an animated feature film.
Wow. Okay.
And so with two different spots of the story.
Nice. So tell us about this movie, animated film you're creating. So that's like a prologue to Dordogne, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, the idea, like what we do, is transmedia. My partner Cedric, when he had the idea of the concept of Dordogne, he also had the idea of a prequel. So Dordogne is the story is you play Mimi, a 32 years old woman who's going to visit her grandmother's house who just passed away. So she's going to empty her house, and while emptying her house, she's going to find back all her memories from her childhood, because she was spending her childhood there, and then you're going to play Mimi. Mimi, 10 years old. Mimi as a kid. We will also play Mimi adult. And the short animated film tells the story of 40 years ago, how the grandmother arrived herself in Dordogne.
Okay.
So we think that's very important into the transmedia approach, not to have the same story. We don't. It's the same big story, but it's different chapters. It's very important. For instance, the comic book that we're in final discussions with a publisher, I would say, is about a secondary character in the game. If you play and for the next project, it's going to be basically the same stuff.
Okay, but, right, because our viewers are usually from all over the world. Can you explain what Dordogne is? Because it's a cultural relevance, right? So you've got to explain that.
So Dordogne is we say a department. I would say I don't know. I think
Like a
it's
province or
yes. France is cut. It's divided in regions. And one of the subdivision of the region is a new Aquitaine region.
Okay.
It's the Dordogne.
Okay.
And it's a place in southwest of France, and very famous for its landscape, its gastronomy, its medieval castles.
Like, yeah.
And it was where my partner was spending his childhood holidays. So that comes from here.
I find it fascinating that you picked that place, because it's it's putting a nice place in the world that's in a spotlight that maybe people don't know about, right? It's not what you imagine France is, right? There's a lot of peculiarities about the region, which I found very interesting. So it's nice that you have put in the spotlight.
It can be real vacations from real people. Real French. It's a very honest slice of France, I would say, with so maybe there's everything in it, so it makes it a bit cliche somehow. But I think it's real. What we made is pretty much real.
It's really nice. The next is a movie. Then you said movie, then another game, and then another movie. What's it?
So since we managed to make our first game, we're happy. Yeah. It works. It sells. I mean, it exists.
Were you happy with the results and with the feedback from the public and so on?
Oh yeah. It's been overwhelming. I mean, we had such a great press response. I mean, it was from all around the world. From Japan, from the US, from Italy too, from Germany, from England. It was really great, and so yes, we're on the map now.
Now you have to deliver the second, which is always harder than the first.
we're on the prototype now. The prototype is cooked, straight, right, still a bit hot, going out of the oven. It was ready for Gamescom, and so now we have sent it all over the world, and we are hopefully waiting for replies from our partners within next week. So we are really happy about it. And so the next one is I need to say it not without saying too much, but just a bit.
Just give us a hint, you don't have to.
Yes, the name of the project is Long Time Ago. You have Athena, and Athena has a time traveling machine, and she uses it she uses it a lot, but to go to the great place and to great parties of the ancient Greek, to make the parties of Louis XIV at the Renaissance, and to attend the French Revolution and stuff like that. But one day when her daughter is just a baby, and her mother is just around, Athena doesn't come back, so we don't know exactly where she is. And so her mother, Ceres, tries to repair this time-traveling machine. And during a lot of time, until 16 years, where her granddaughter, Lodane, which is 16, at that time, tells her grandmother, come on, I already lost my mother. I don't want to lose you again. I don't want, so please stop trying to repair this machine. And she says, no, look, it works. Not really, I repaired it. Look, blap, it bam. So she goes into time, and she's lost in time too. So the game, you are playing Ceres, which is lost in time, and you are going to play on butterfly effects, from traveling from one time period to another time period to come back to the present, to see and to find back your granddaughter Lodane. So that's the game.
See, I already find it fascinating by you telling me. I don't know the game. I don't know. It's kind of, but it's really fascinating. I can see that you put a lot of effort into creating compelling stories. It's very interesting.
Thank you. And so you play Ceres in the game, but the animated feature film will be on Lodane's point of view, the granddaughter.
Okay.
And so everything is written to be compatible. So the story of the animated film and the.
How many people are involved in the creation of all this?
Regarding this project, as of today, it's around 15 people.
Okay.
But we started at 4.
Okay.
There's a concept that I read into Ed Catmull's book. Ed Catmull is one of the founder of Pixar, the animated studio, and he explained the life of Pixar, how it became Pixar, and it's been a lot of work before it became that stuff. And something he was using, it's he called that the brain trust. Like everyone was in the same room and talking about the project. And no matter of being a chief or not being a chief, everyone could talk about it. And so we work like between very small amount of people, like four or five people, with a scriptwriter, a narrative designer, so the equivalent of scriptwriter before for video games, and a game designer, and Cedric, who's like the showrunner of the whole stuff. And so all together, they created the core story and the core concept of what would be the game, what would be the comic book, what would be the animated content, and all the. I mean, there's a lot of links inside, and some. Because some stuff that are going to happen in the game will of course be seen in the movies, and you have to be coherent on it, and it was great fun. And when we finally were okay with it, we started developing the video game, because our goal is to first release the video game.
Okay.
And when the video game is released, then at least 6 months later, we release the animation project with us.
Is that because of time, of production time, or is it because of your idea of how it should be commercially?
It's more commercially. It's more on the marketing side, because I mean, making games compared to making movies is more pragmatic, more tangible.
Yeah.
I mean, you have people who buy games, you have people who create games. I mean, it's very obvious as a market. It is also on animation, but it's way more complicated. Way more tricky. So you guarantee somehow an audience of the animated content with the players of the game.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
And also, the players, the new people who are going to discover the animation, will also later want to play the game.
We now have to make different layers here. So. All right, so we let it 5 minutes and then we're good. In the meantime, we can open the bottle of wine. What do you think?
Yay, great. Oh, come on.
No, go for it, go for it, go for it. Yeah. No, it's, So, Aymeric, what is it that happens, because you're more in the business side, but are you also in the creative side? How much you are involved in this day-to-day life at Umanimation?
I am, since the video game industry is a bit complicated at the moment. Yeah. Everything is getting better at the end of the year and hopefully early 2025. I'm a lot on the administration and financing stuff, a lot. And but I have the chance to have a great partner, Cedric Babouche, who created Dordogne, but he's also chief content officer of the company, so he manages all the content and everything. But what I'm telling the team is like I love also being in the meetings and talking about the project.
Do they want you in the meetings?
I would say it's fine.
As always, recipe from the very north of Italy, so wine from the south. Just to make sure that we cover all the Aglianico. This is from Campania, Avellino.
Okay.
So good luck with all your projects. I have to say that what you are doing for me, looking from outside, it's fascinating because seeing the reverse engineering of how games are made and how you're trying to build something around stories is really interesting. So
thank you very
congratulations.
much. Thank you.
Et voilà.
Et voilà.
All right, this is our turn then. Yours?
Okay.
See how it's coming up. It doesn't look that bad.
It looks amazing. It must be really hot.
We could open a restaurant.
It's really good.
Good. Well, Aymeric, thanks for coming.
Cool.
And good luck for all your fantastic projects.
Thank you, Marco.
See you next time, guys.